Hi, I'm Cade, and this is Clever Class History.
Hi, I'm Phillip, and this is Clever Class U.S. History.
So the Great Depression has been raging on. FDR, or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, has been elected, and he had a plan to take the Great Depression and turn America prosperous again. This was a collection of laws and actions between 1933 and 1938 called the New Deal, and it was his means to end the Depression. Did the New Deal destroy American freedom? Did it end the Depression? Or did it just expand what we see as liberty? The New Deal came in two parts. It came in the first New Deal and the second New Deal.
So there was a lot of opposition to the New Deal. The wealthy industrialists that owned factories or businesses, they believed that the New Deal was too pro-labor and limited the economy from growing back. There were also people like Southern farmers who felt that the New Deal didn't really cater to their needs. There were also the advocates of free market capitalism who opposed the New Deal because there was too much government involvement. And also, communists and socialists felt that it didn't help the working class, and only the wealthy. Another critic was Floyd Olson, a governor of Minnesota, who proposed the nationalization of utilities and idle factories to start the economy and provide more jobs for the people. Another critic was Father Charles Coughlin, who was an influential radio speaker and criticized the New Deal for being too partial to bankers. He voiced racial prejudice for Jews and fascism. These men were known as populists, leaders who had some local support but not enough national support to really have any value. While Huey Long and Floyd Olson had some local support, they didn't have enough national representation.
And now it's time for the mystery document. The rules here are simple. I will read this document, and then, if I can guess who the author is, then I don't get shocked by this electric pen. Here we go. I propose that every family in America should at least own a homestead equal in value to not less than 1/3 the average family wealth. The average family wealth of America at normal values is approximately $16,000. So our first proposition means that every family will have a home and the comforts of a home up to a value of not less than around $5,000, or a little more than that. A liberal critic, someone who's proposing something like communism. I'm thinking Huey Long, the senator from Louisiana. Yes, I got it right. No shocking today. So you remember, during the Great Depression, the people that were rich got even richer. And what Huey Long was proposing was to tax the rich so we could distribute to the poor in even amounts. He was one of the liberal critics of the New Deal.
The New Deal included many acts, such as the Public Works Administration and the Civil Works Administration. One of the most controversial was the Tennessee Valley Authority, which was a construction project that included building dams across the Tennessee River in the Tennessee Valley area. This was seen as a competition to local business, which conservatives were very, very against. One of the most controversial acts was the Social Security Act, which many saw as a step towards a socialist country.
Mr. Stalin, I hope this pleases you.
The 1930s saw the U.S. Communist Party grow from just 7,500 members to over 55,000. Many Americans had become disillusioned with capitalism due to the Great Depression. Critics of the New Deal claimed it was a step towards autocratic communism due to actions such as the Social Security Act, Civil Works Administration, Civil Conservative Corps, and the Tennessee Valley Authority. Many feared that communism, specifically from Soviet Russia, was beginning to infiltrate the United States, its people at the very core of their moral values.
One of the biggest opponents of the New Deal was the Supreme Court, which ruled much of the administration's legislation unconstitutional, like the Farm Relief Bill. FDR responded with an act to force justices to retire at 70, which would have given FDR the power to choose many new justices, thus eliminating his judicial opposition. This was publicly called the Court Packing Bill, and it did not pass through Congress because of much opposition. As opposed to just demographics, there were several political groups that also opposed the New Deal, like the Liberty League. That was a group of wealthy American businessmen that were all against pro-labor laws and against taxes on the rich. They were all made up of extremely wealthy people, too. Another group was the Conservative Coalition, which is made up of Republicans and conservative Democrats that actively opposed liberal legislation, most notably with labor unions, and was very active in Congress.
So I say to the guy, if you want to start a union, go work somewhere else.
You know, the same thing happened in my factory. They tried to unionize. I was like, fine, I'll just shut the whole plant down. I got plenty of money.
Right. I hate these people trying to make these unions be a thing.
I know. You know, that FDR fella, he's going to destroy our America.
Yeah.
He's really going against all the values we were founded on.
Exactly.
Free trade. He wants to give poor people money for sitting around.
And he keeps spending and spending more money.
I know. You know, at this rate, we're going to be so in debt.
The Social Security Act of 1935 was one of the most ambitious pieces of legislature passed under the New Deal. Title I included old age benefits, as well as Title II, which included old age assistance. Title III granted unemployment compensation, and then Title IV helped out dependent children. Title V was maternal and child welfare, and then Title VI had public health work. Many people opposed the Social Security Act because it gave the government ability to become more like a welfare state, which is another step towards socialism.
What's that? It's time for the open letter? An open letter to the conservatives of the 1930s. If someone's dying on your floor and you're holding a defibrillator, you don't refrain from using it because you don't want to use a little electricity. You kickstart their heart. Similarly, if your economy is going in a downturn, you have to spend a little money to get the money flowing again. And by the way, a little socialism won't kill you. Best regards, Cade Shortt.
While we have discussed the primarily accepted interpretation of the New Deal, there are some revisionist theories which warrant mention. In 2009, former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown came to Washington requesting a new deal to combat the world economic downturn, a clear reference to FDR. While it is commonly concurred that the New Deal did not end the Depression, a strain of revisionists believe the New Deal actually prolonged the Depression. A historical revisionist is one who challenges the orthodox interpretation of history, usually by introduction of new evidence. A leader of this strain of revisionists is former Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, who before serving as chairman was a historian and economist. The then and current Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said, "We know for sure that the big spending programs of the New Deal did not work. In the 1940s, unemployment was still 15%, and it's widely agreed among economists that what got us out of the doldrums that we were in during the Depression was the beginning of World War II." The economist Harold Colin Lee Ohanian wrote in a Wall Street Journal essay titled "How Government Prolonged the Depression," "The National Industrial Recovery Act distorted the economy by artificially raising wage and prices, restricting output, and reducing productive capacity by placing quotas on industry investment and new plants and equipment." The argument for revisionist theory go well beyond the time restraints we have, but serve as an interesting point for discussion. Also consider the following questions when discussing critics of the New Deal. To what extent is the criticism valid? To what extent was the criticism partisan-based? And to what extent did critics affect public support for the New Deal?
While we've discussed critics of the New Deal, it's important to remember that Roosevelt had an insane amount of support.
Remember, he was elected for an unprecedented 4 terms. A constitutional amendment was made in his memory to prevent such from ever happening again.
The New Deal changed what Americans expected from their government.
When things head south, people look to the executive to turn them around.
The 2011 Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Eric Foner said, "The New Deal made the government an institution directly experienced in Americans' lives."
What ended the Great Depression? Well, it wasn't FDR, and it wasn't the New Deal.
While the Great Depression is a time period in U.S. history, don't forget that all of the civilized world was in an economic downturn.
In reality, Adolf Hitler ended the Great Depression by beginning World War II, which caused all economies to mobilize for the war effort.
While many of the acts passed as part of the New Deal were repealed or the agencies disbanded, we still feel some of the effects of the New Deal today.
The Social Security Act is the largest part of the New Deal still in place, seeing the establishment of the Social Security Administration.
The Social Security Act also included many of the programs people now see as a right, rather than a controversial issue.
The Tennessee Valley Authority is still thriving and employs over 9,000 people today.
Let us remember that every story has a perspective.
And we need to remember who is speaking, why they are speaking, and which voices go unheard.
We should also consider the origins, purpose, value, and limitations of every source in history.
And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.
sitting around.
And he keeps spending and spending more money.
I know. You know, at this rate, we're going to be so in debt, we'll be like China.
So now, was the New Deal beneficial? And no.
One of the biggest critics of the New Deal were wealthy